They want to make you feel inflation is not going to hurt you. Oh, but it will, and here's what to do. Get ready because we're getting suckered and we are sucking it up. And big business excuses itself by claiming the pandemic made me do it and the government is looking the other way. But this is what you can do to counter this. Welcome to Radio Labio's English program, where I share the most interesting notes of the day that you may not have had time to catch up on. I'm Juan Andres. And to satisfy all Hispanics, Hispanic Americans as well as Spanish-speaking Hispanics, our programs are bilingual. Thank you for listening. We've all heard about rising inflation. The price of stuff is going up. And then there is when the price of stuff stays the same, but the amount you get goes down. Plus, the economy-wide decline in service quality that we're seeing is something different than we have been used to. This is a sly way of taxing the middle class and still say that you're only increasing taxes on the rich, which is all malarkey. We're getting taxed, the rich overtly and the middle class covertly. It's a situation where we're paying the same or more for services, but they kind of suck compared with what they used to be. It's when instead of simply raising prices, companies skimp on the goods and services they provide for the same money. And I suggest that this is not a coincidence. It's to keep the majority of us calm or confused, and the government can say inflation is under control. In my opinion, the people that are controlling this situation are not dummies. Many businesses, especially small businesses, are struggling to cope with the surging costs and pandemic-related expenses. That's understood, of course. They're having a hard time finding workers at the wages they used to pay, which are in some cases terrible wages to begin with. And some businesses may be unable to afford paying what it takes to recruit workers in the current environment. Nonetheless, whether it's because they can't afford to, they don't want to, or they're getting greedy, instead of enticing workers with higher wages, many businesses are cutting back on the quality of their services in order to stay profitable. And I continue, my sinister point of view is to keep the majority of us calm and confused so the government can say that inflation is under control. Make no mistake, this is a form of inflation taxation. As with normal inflation, it means we're getting less for our money. And some argue the government is failing to properly account for this kind of inflation when crunching official statistics. The government, instead of failing to capture improvements in the quality of products and services in economic statistics, the government was now failing to fully factor in deterioration in quality. In other words, the official statistics aren't showing how bad inflation actually is. We're getting less for the money. And that's fundamentally what inflation is all about. There's no difference if they raise the price on the same thing that you were paying less before. Right? Or they keep the same price, but they give you less in product. It's 6 of one and a half dozen of another, but the government only tallies the money. The economy, the money. It has no way of going and counting how many pieces of an item they took out of a package. How many potato chips did they take out of a small bag of potato chips? Now it has 50 when it used to have 65, or whatever the case may be. How is the government going to do that? They can't. But it's a way that businesses can jack up the prices and say that they're holding the price and helping the economy. And the government gobbles it up by saying, hey, we're keeping everything under control because prices aren't going up that fast. Well, they're going up. They're going up. By shortening the amount of goods you get for your money, and the government plays a good role in this, it serves them so. And anyway, there's no way for them to monitor that. They'd have to start something new that we don't have yet. You could chalk this all up to the pandemic and a slow adjustment to normal, and we should cut leaders and businesses some slack, of course, as they try to fix the difficult situation. That said, though, we're now approaching 2 years of this pandemic, and it's time to try to account for quality degradation and be honest and open with the American people. The official government statistics that are now saying the economy, adjusted for standard inflation, is bigger and more productive than it was in 2019. That kind of suggests that goods and services we're consuming now are better than they were before the pandemic. And you and I know that that is a bold-faced lie. Come on, we go to the store, we're spending a hell of a lot more and walking out with a lot less. For their part, the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department say the weird inflationary economy we're seeing right now is transitory. And that's another bold-faced lie. Some of us seniors remember when moons and moons and moons ago, we would drive up to a gas station and they would wipe our windshield, check our oil level, get down on their knees and check the tire pressure while the tank was filling up. Well, most of our kids and grandkids never saw that and never will. Historically in the United States, takeaway is never returned. Nowadays, you're paying close to $4 a gallon for gas and get nothing in services other than pump your own gas, fellow. And if your tires need air, you better have enough quarters to pay $1 to fill them up, or you're going to drive off with a half-flat tire. Oh, what to do about this mess? Unfortunately, you can't rely that this is going to change all of a sudden. It's going to take sacrificing. If you can, you'll want to make every sacrifice you can to pay off your credit card, student loans, or even car payments. Why? The less you owe others, the more flexibility and freedom you'll have when prices continue to go up, because this is the beginning. This isn't going to stop. Or you will have to make do with less. And if that's not possible, then you're going to have to look at the possibility of working in family teams, living and sharing together. The worst thing you can do is ignore this. Don't sit there hoping that this is going to go away and prices have just leveled and they're never going to go up again. No, that's not the way the economy works. By the way, the Biden administration, in my opinion, knew that this was going to happen, and they tried to alleviate some of the pain by coming up with their $6.5 trillion infrastructure bill that was cut to $3.5 trillion, and thanks in large part to Joe Manchin, a greedy Catholic Democratic senator. I can't believe that this man's a Catholic. It may be dwindled down to $1.75 trillion, or 75% smaller than really needed to help the middle class in the upcoming inflationary situation that we're facing, which is being made smaller by magic trickery, putting less in your packages and charging you the same money, which is magic trickery, to fool us, but we know better. Don't be fooled. Get ready. Things are not going to improve overnight. You have to take this seriously, or you're going to get hurt financially. I'm Juan Andres. You can find us on more than 60 sites on the internet, where you can listen to our podcast. Just ask Google Radio Labio and bingo, we'll show up. On my behalf, as well as my colleague Yvonne Encinas, who does weekend shows, and our manager and fellow on-air personality Francisco Maldonado, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.